Okay, Rebels, I'm a little under the weather today, so I'm just going to dive right in. Today we're going to do a classic roast pork tenderloin with some roasted potatoes. This is a 2 to 2.5 pound pork tenderloin. It actually came off of a huge piece, and I cut it up so that I'd have 3 or so meals out of it, but this is about 2.5 pounds. Over here, this is half a cup of chicken stock and half a cup of dry white wine. This is some salt and pepper. Now, I make this in one pan with some potatoes, so here's some potatoes, and then this is how I cut them up, just so you can kind of see. Cut them in half again, and then kind of go down the line. I'm just going to throw those right in here. And then into that, we're going to have some Italian seasoning, some garlic powder, and some onion powder, and some salt. Now, I'm going to start the preparation first on our potatoes while my oil heats up, because there's about, I don't know, 2 tablespoons of oil in my pan, you'll see that in a second, to sear my pork roast. But this is just plain olive oil, and I do not measure this. I just kind of do a drizzle, and then I just get my hands in there, getting a little messy, and toss them real good. And then I take my spices and stir them up, and sprinkle them over, and toss it some more. What you want is a really nice coating on these potatoes. These are going to roast in with your pork to make a super easy one-pan meal. Pause. So while my oil is heating up, I just want to show you, I threw the potatoes in this roasting pan. This is what we're going to roast our pork in. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees on bake. And then all I'm going to do is salt these. And I want to salt them pretty liberally because, I don't know if you've noticed, but potatoes suck up salt. So I just make sure we have a nice even coating of salt all the way around. And that's all for the potatoes. So as you can hear, my oil is coming up to a temperature, and you want it quite hot. So this is heating over medium-high heat. I have a little water in there, so excuse the splutter. We're going to come over here to this, which is our pork. And this is just some salt and pepper I've mixed together. And I'm just going to rub it on my pork, sprinkle it on and give it a little rub. The object here is just to season it very lightly. But since you're doing it in oil, you don't need to coat it with oil or anything. Just give it a nice little rub, a little massage, as Julia would say. And this is going to go right into our hot oil to sear. Don't burn yourself on this step. I can't tell you how many times I've burned myself doing this at one point or another. So be careful, put it in, and then we're going to let it cook about 2 to 3 minutes per side till we have a nice golden brown. So we've been about 1.5 minutes on this one side, and I'm going to go ahead and flip it just to show you. See, got some burny bits on here. That's typical. You go ahead and leave that in the pan because we're going to use this. It does stick a little sometimes. That's okay. Just move it around. Don't be afraid of it. And you want this nice sear, and we're going to try to make sure all the sides are nicely seared because that really helps hold in the juice to get a nice moist tenderloin. Okay, so I am searing my ends. I've already seared the top one. But I just want to show you, don't be afraid to do this. Go ahead and sear it because you actually really want all the edges, see how nice that looks? Browned up because it actually holds the juice in when your meat cooks. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I'll show these in a second. But I'm going to go ahead and remove it over to my roasting dish, and then I'm going to show you how to make the sauce that goes. It's not really a sauce, it's really cooking juices to help your pork loins stay moist while it's cooking in the oven. Alright, our total cooking time has probably been about 5-ish minutes. We're nicely browned on all sides. I've got the ends seared. Now I'm just going to pick this up with 2 forks and put it right in the middle. Like I said, don't be afraid of it. Just make sure you're even. Now, I did not tie this roast. You totally can, like use butcher's twine to tie it and make it look really, really pretty. Yeah, that wasn't happening today. I'm not feeling the best. So, and then this is just a little Italian seasoning. You can also use rosemary. And all I do is just give it a little sprinkle. Just a really light one. Just to help add a little flavor. And that's that. Now, your cooking juices. So this is my hot oil. I've got my heat down on medium. Flat whisk exciting. See how these little brownie bits at the bottom? We want to bring those up. So we are going to deglaze with white wine and with some chicken stock. So here's half a cup of white wine. And the chicken stock is in, and so you want to bring up all these brown bits. That is the object here. So it's going to come up to a quick boil here. Now, if you are opposed to using alcohol, you can totally use chicken stock. If you are opposed to using chicken stock, you can totally use a cup of white wine. What you don't want is too much liquid. So, because this is a roast, this is not a braise, you don't want to have so much liquid in your pan that you are braising it and turning it into, something that it's not. So now we're nicely deglazed, nothing is sticking on it. You can see these brown bits, see here? All in here. You're not trying to reduce, you're not trying to do anything interesting. You just really want to pull those bits up, turn my heat off, and we're going to go right over this roast. And I just take it from one end to the other. Just give it a pour, hit your, there you go. And now, this goes into a preheated 350 degree oven, uncovered, for about an hour. You're trying to roast your internal temperature of your pork to about 145 degrees to 160 degrees, depending on how terrified you are about, your pork having a little bit of pink in it. I personally like it more on the 150, but that's just me. Okay, so we have been in the oven for about an hour and 15 minutes. This was a really big piece of tenderloin, but this is about how it should look when it is done. Notice it's nicely brown everywhere. Our potatoes are done. They are fork tender, so I'm going to pull this out and show you how to plate it. So here we go. I just cut a slice of the pork tenderloin laterally. I'm just going to put this on our plate here. And I'm going to spoon some of these potatoes on our plate. And you can get kind of fancy with this if you want. I actually will flip this over. A nice kind of presentation. And then you can just spoon a little of this cooking juice over. Again, it's just a little flavorful extra. If you really want to, you can boil this down a little to make it a little thicker, but I don't usually like to. I like it just as it is. And that is how it is served. This is Saucy Rebel signing off with our roast Italian tenderloin. Have a great day, y'all.